Hello, welcome to another Take It or Leave It. I guess it is part of the series under the Inner Knowing umbrella. I'm Erin Rogers. This is the beautiful Nada. Now, wait, did we talk about what last name we're going to use?
Every week
Grabic?
we're going to do this, I think.
Because I would prefer to use your pre-married name, even though I never knew you as that
Baby
person. But
love. I think my Wi-Fi is weak here. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I can always hear you. Keep going.
Oh, really? You heard all that? Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All you cut out after you were trying to introduce me, and then I'm like, every week we're going to do this.
yeah, all good every week. But
Every week.
yeah, it records on your computer and my computer separately, so there's no
Yeah.
problem. We're not relying on the internet. Um, and one, Nada's outdoing me on the outfit category today. She's living,
Mm.
thriving,
Mm.
far above me. And we are going to talk about, I'll word it my way, Nada will word it her way, but basically going from, I think, knowing you're intuitive, but maybe having some sort of judgment or negative feeling around it, to embracing it and letting yourself start to integrate it in life or work or whatever it may be. I would say because it's become such a normal part of my life, sometimes I forget about how hard it was. And actually, it was hard for a very long time. That's not even like it was to be brushed off. But I think it's a nice place to remind people, no matter how long you've been connected to your intuition or you've just been on the edge of deciding to stop judging yourself, it's just a nice reminder.
And we talked about how I think our growth has been different, but the exact same theme, because you were sort of speaking about being polarizingly opposite to how you wanted to live in alignment and in expression in your earlier career until you stepped into this path, right? Whereas I feel
Yeah,
like I
like,
was doing something similar, but I wasn't allowing myself to speak freely about it. So I was editing what I was
hmm,
actually doing to justify it in like a clinical application way.
right. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm just going to use astrology because why not? We love that around here. I built my life fully as a Capricorn, and then I was like, but I'm supposed to have a Cancerian North Node following. So while maybe there's some similarities, it was like I had to do a 180 because I built my life in this very patriarchal, structured way. I was saying to someone today, I go, I built my life like I was a 1950s man. Like all I was really looking for was a housewife because I had the rest of it down pat. And all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, I got to go to like the empowered feminine. I haven't even seen her before. Um, and so that's why it feels so different versus like, because you've always been working hands on the body. I feel like if you're someone who works hands on the body, I'd be hard pressed for anyone to say they're not intuitive, whether they can say it or not. Like that is an intuitive job. If you are touching people's bodies with consent, it's you have to be intuitive. I've really never met anybody that ultimately, once you like scratch below the surface, is an intuitive who chooses to be hands on with people.
I think that's the people you're finding. I would say in healthcare, it's split down the middle of intuitive and what we would sometimes call structural people, which is when they're more looking for like a hard formula or like a oh bless left-handed, so I always have to go, I'm left-handed, therefore I have a right brain, and then I have to inverse it, a left brain approach. So I would say fitty fitty. Yeah. The people that are
Interesting.
good at it and are treating holistically, are seeing the whole being and appreciating like the whole human experience, duh. Like you can't have one
Yeah.
without the other. But yeah, there's still structural people that are, there's even like a whole, yeah, don't make me speak ill of certain forms of
Tell
manipulation.
me about how intuition felt to you, I guess, like before and after. Like when you were like, I'm intuitive, but I can't apply it to my work, to when you were like, okay, you know what? Everything gets better, I believe, if I apply it. So we're not like negating everything you had going on. It's like adding to. Tell me about that, or if you can even remember.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my first big like download that I got was I was an RMT at the time. I was in massage therapy, and I was like pushing away the idea of going to osteo, even though I had treated a few osteos and they were like, you're treating osteopathically, you should become one. And I was pushing it away because, for whatever, that's for another day. But I was treating someone that I knew, and I actually treated the whole family structure. Like I treated the son and her and blah, 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 and the daughter. And so I felt closer to her. And suddenly a lion came into the room, like a holographic lion, and sat next to her, but then stared at me and was like kind of stoic and like guarding her. And so I spoke to the lion in my head and was just like, I don't know why you feel like you have to guard her. Like, my intentions are pure. I am literally here just to calm her nervous system, to help her out. And he was like, kind of like, yeah, well, you better be. And then at the end of the treatment, I was like, there's no way I didn't see that. And thank the Lord that this is the type of woman that would be open to this. So I was like, is it crazy to say that I saw a lion come into the room and protect you and stare at me and kind of give me like the third degree about what I was showing up as, and I better be like concentrating on you and your healing? And she just like flippantly said, no, that's my husband. He passed away and he promised he'd always protect me like a lion. That's it. I was just like, okay, that was 100% verified, right? Whatever. And then that type of shit happened every I don't know, 3, 4 months, maybe not to that level. But because it wasn't happening, because I wasn't receiving it often, and because I didn't put the hat on now that I could pick up those messages, I just pushed it away. And I was like, yeah, it's weird. Sometimes I could receive something like that, but I would never define myself that way. And then we were at the retreat. Fast forward, I ended up going to school to become an osteopath, and I had just graduated and went to the retreat where I met Erin. And you were like, what are you getting? Like, I see you getting downloads. And I was like, what? I'm not intuitive. Do you remember me saying that or no?
No,
No, you
but
don't
cute.
remember. Yeah, I was like, I'm not intuitive. And you were like, well, I'm literally staring at you getting downloads. And I was like, no, I don't think so. And what it was like, that was the turning point. So at some point, I owe you a shiny penny, Erin. The turning point was when you explained to me, and I think that this is like the golden gift that I often pass forward to people, is I always thought I was judgmental because I would get inundated with all these assumptions when I met someone. So I would see how they grew up, or I would feel exactly how they're feeling, or I would hear what is getting in the way of their well-being as they're walking through as a patient. And I would just think, fuck, you're so judgmental. Like, you don't know that. That's not a fact. That's a feeling. And it wasn't until you were like, no, if you're not going to retrieve that info with a question, if you're just getting that information, those are downloads. And so that was like the language I needed to understand that process. And that's what shifted it. So then I soft launched into knowing when someone was open to hearing, and practicing honoring that when information needed to be passed on to a patient, it felt like anxiety in my body to let them leave without receiving that information. And so that's sort of my guide now. It's like, even if I get a wild download, unless I get that anxiety that they need to be looped in to what I'm hearing and feeling and seeing, I don't loop them in. They don't need to know. Not everyone's cerebral like me. Thanks God, they're lucky. And so that's how it's been shifting in my career. I don't know, there's room to grow in it. Like, there's room to reveal the real me maybe on my website. Like, I'm writing web content right now, and one of the like cheeky things I say is like, my strong foundation in sciences and anatomy allows me to lean into my intuitively led treatments, but at no point am I telling them big words yet. So I'm still on my journey, but that's how it's been shifting for me.
That's so cool. One, I don't remember doing that, so amazing. I mean, it sounds like me. It's what I end up doing for lots of people, but that's very touching that you even remember that I did that, to be honest. Um, just like,
Because you pulled
bullshit,
on my
you're fucking intuitive. Stop pretending
oh,
anything else.
yeah, no, but you pulled on my Gemini. You were like, "Oh, Queen, this is the understanding of that. Like, this is the piece. This is the jigsaw piece you were missing." And I was like, "Yeah, that tracks. That fully tracks."
Um, and my interpretation of coming out when you work for a collective, a body, a college of like that um, oversees it, I do find that a lot of, especially massage therapists and I have had this conversation because basically, if you're someone who's tapped in and intuitive and I'm getting a session, I start to experience your intuition. And so there's been more than one practitioner where I've been like, hey, does this thing happen to you when you touch people? And they'll be like, yeah. I go, okay, well, what are you seeing right now? Like I try to make it safe. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do with that? They go, oh, I can't. I'll be kicked out of the college. And I go, okay, maybe you will, maybe you won't. But like, I understand that it would be challenging. And then I have like an outline. I have advice I give people to help them to be like, well, you don't have to tell anybody. Cause like you said, sometimes it's just meant to guide you to give the
Yeah.
best session possible. And sometimes it's meant to be expressed. Um, and that rings true for all of us intuitively, right? And like obviously I lead with my intuition, so it's slightly different. But sometimes there's stuff that spirit says like don't tell them. Just use it as part of how you're going to craft the plan for them. And it's like,
Mm.
okay.
Mm.
So I think it's interesting, but I can see how that would be challenging. Um, but
Osteo
to
is
me,
again,
osteo seems
yeah, it is. It's broader. It encompasses your spiritual health and your emotional health. So there's a lot more open dialogue. I feel like as an RMT, I was still getting all of that. Like that was that's how I held space and that's what came up in it. But at least in osteo, going into it when someone's booking osteopathy, they're usually like they're after that. They want to be seen as the whole. They want to know what is the misinformation that's stopping them from expressing their truest nature.
yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Um, oh, so it's so funny because I mean, I obviously thought you were intuitive the moment I met you. If I was talking to you that way, like,
Oh, why though? Why? Just because you were talking to me that way. Okay. I
it's
thought you were
just a
going to say
knowing I
something.
have when I meet
I was
people,
looking
and
for a compliment.
especially, um, I can just hear in the way people describe things if they're intuitive, even if they're accessing it unbeknownst to them. Um, and I mean, listen, everybody's intuitive, but some people are more so. So, um, yeah, but interesting. Versus, what I remember about my intuition was that I really thought, I really tried to just explain it away. And I would have like really wild intuitive things happen and just be like, well, and I would just like try to have a reason for it and be like, well, probably it's this way or it's that way. And because I would never share it with anybody. It wasn't until I started sharing, people were like, no, that never happens to me. And I'm like, oh. Or people that had families that were intuitive would say it happened to them, but they'd be like, well, because my mom's intuitive or my grandma, like they'd have almost someone in the family that had mentored their intuition. So, but for me, for a long time, I tried to explain it away. And then there were just like literally unexplainable things. And then I was like, well, maybe I just have, um, maybe I'm intuitive, or maybe I just happen to know things before they happen. Maybe I happen to say deeply poignant things to people I meet that totally shift their reality. Maybe for some reason I say that I interview people by listening to what they're not saying. And that's probably just like a normal skill people have. Um, because I was so rooted in being logical as the only value system, it took a lot for me to convince myself. And it wasn't until I had that experience with the coach. And then she was just validating that when I would describe how I experienced the world, she was like, no, no, that's not what everyone's doing. That's not how it's going for everybody. Like, no, there's no way you could know those things. That it was
But
like,
don't you?
it was
Oh,
almost
you
like, Well,
You
say it
go on.
again.
I was just gonna say one more thing, but I will remember. So don't you worry. You go on.
It was like I had resisted it for so long, but ultimately part of me either deeply knew it was true or I wanted it to be true. That when I finally just like kind of gave in and was like, fuck, I think I'm intuitive, it's like the floodgates opened. So there was
Mm.
no like soft entry for me. It was like actually it had been happening so intensely for so long, but I had been denying it, that once I finally said yes, it was like my gifts were so online that it almost, well, it was overwhelming, but they
Yeah.
were like determined to come through. They were determined to, I mean, look what I do now, right? So obviously for me, it was a gift that was important to express. Um, but I really tried to logically dismiss it because two things. I was worried it would mean I was insane. And I think I really worried that it was making me different. And I think lots of people want to be special and different, where I always wanted to fit in.
I think I'm just at an understanding now where it could be actually 100% logical. I'm just gonna close the door 1 sec. We came back at the same time. Um,
Just a
I
commercial break.
Yeah, just a little brisky. We're encouraging people to get up and move, stay fit, stay young. No, I feel like I'm at another layer where I'm like, the more you really learn about energy, the more it is logical that you would be in receiving of energy. Like, yeah, like so for me in practice, when someone walks in, the physical embodiment of where things are blocked, and this is fun because you actually you treat the same things I do, but mine is rooted in hyper focusing on like the medical expression of how all these systems will be impacted by the traffic jam in alignment, in movement, in whatever. So when I see someone come through the doors, before we're even talking, I can feel where they're uncomfortable in their body right away. I can see what organs are trying to close off or be like, I've had enough. And then if I'm sitting with them in deep respect and I'm actually just in my heart space, intending to connect to their heart space, I can receive possibly pictures or maybe just a sentence or like a false belief system that is creating like a layer of like a masking between their truest expression being able to come out. And you were telling me that that's basically what you're doing in your work. No, you're identifying very similar, but you might not then understand the interrelationship of how that backup would create this in the fluid system, which would create this in their sleep cycle, which would create this in their hormonal patterns or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I wouldn't say so. For me, that's almost like medical mediumship. Now, I have very gently gotten lots of messages about people's bodies, and I either will just ask them to go and like see someone to learn more or try to help them reroute their energy. But like, yeah, there's something called the Heart Map Institute. The heart field is wider than our mind field. So of course it's already reading energy. Like to me, actually, the irony of intuition was once I got into it, I was like, makes more sense. If you can walk into a room and feel the tension, why can't I feel the field of energy that naturally vibrates from your body that's giving information? So
Totally.
I'm probably not doing your scientific explanation justice, but yeah, like you're seeing it from a physical body expression, and I'm seeing it from how the energy expresses and how you're living your life, I guess would
Yeah.
be the basic way. And for me, it's like I can see your greatest potential, your highest self, your soul. And I can see, and I'm like, oh, and I can just see all the layers that keep you from that. And you're desiring to move with your soul, your higher self, your beautiful, like intended self that comes to earth. And it looks like you're probably done with some of these patterns that taught you lessons or were contrast. And now's the perfect time for us to shift, move, or integrate them So they're no longer informing your energetic field. Your energetic field can be informed by something more supportive. And that usually leads to things like, I don't know, maybe like, I don't necessarily did this for you, but like maybe building a website after years of being unable to do it, which ultimately leads your heart to be happier because you're working with people in a way that feels even more deeply aligned. And there's no longer a belief system of, a common one for people will be like, I'm not good enough, or I haven't, taken enough school to do this other thing. And so it's like when all that dissipates, well, writing a website seems simple. That energy was in contrast that was in your body. And as soon as it was moved, and it could be through osteo, it could be through energetic sessions or both or whatever it may be, you now can freely move, think, see, and feel in alignment. So it's not like it takes up all your energy to get things done.
Yeah, and I can speak to in my fear of putting my website out there or my bio out there was I was able to placate the the structural people out there and say, look, I know everything you know, and I do everything you do, but I also have this gift that I think is super valuable. And I just didn't want to be seen. I was like, this way I can hide. People can only talk about what I do, but I'm not out there broadcasting it. So that was
Mm-hmm.
like the shift that I needed, was to be like, but who cares? Just be you, because all you want is to treat people that are looking for exactly your experience. You don't want to treat the masses. You want to treat people that are stoked about exactly that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's part of the Le Journée.
What do you think was the number one thing that got you to um, start trusting your intuition? Was it just a moment of external validation? Was there something that you saw in the patient experience with the lion? Like, is there anything you
I
could see
always
that really
it was
resonated?
literally those words from you where I understood it logically. And then the more I was in, I had already done the program, but I was doing post grad courses. And the founder of our school, who obviously anybody, like, not to put him on a pedestal, but the type of person that creates a program, he started he brought osteopathy to Canada. So he started the first school in Canada for osteopathy. That type of being is a wheelhouse. It's not a common type of person that creates big things like that and maintains
Yeah.
it, right? And he was teaching these post-grad courses where he constantly talked about being in the stillness. And so his language, he doesn't call it intuitive, but he's like, if you're in the stillness where you just notice how everything is orchestrated and like everything is beautiful and as it should be, you'll receive all this information that your patient wants you to see, because you see them for their beauty and he's literally just speaking like how we would, but with interchangeable words. And
Mhm.
that's when I was just like, oh, like this dude does it too, and he created this program, so just do it. But no, your words are what appeased my brain into understanding what I was doing, because before that, man, I really thought that I was like a really judgmental person, because I would just have opinions as soon as I met someone, and they weren't
Right.
negative, but I would just have these like opinions. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, you heard it here, folks. I'm the gateway. Um, I think just
I am
being
in debt.
validated in your, say it again.
I go, I am in debt. I'm in debt to you.
I think the thing is, it's when your internal experience is only your own, someone externally validating you in a way you can receive is sometimes the permission you just need. It's not complicated, right?
100%.
Um, well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say actually it might be lovely for us to have been succinct and to the point in this episode today.
Mm,
I know.
wow.
My
That's
question
not
to you
wasted.
though
Yeah.
is how are you currently supporting people? So if anyone desires to spend more time with you,
Yeah.
how can they find you, or how are you currently supporting people?
Yeah. So website is still, I'm still flirting with ChatGPT with my words to see how we can create a beautiful romance for words on text. But once the website's up, we're going to be videotaping ways to connect with yourself at home, to treat your abdomen, to get into your heart space and do self treatment of all of the structures. So, like that intuitive, medical intuitive work on your own. But for
Hmm.
now, I am treating in Langley, BC at a multidisciplinary clinic and doing osteopathic treatments, but with an intuitive direction.
Okay, we love. The links to book will be in the show notes. Um, and I am currently working in a one-on-one capacity. So if you want the Nada-est experience while integrating into your life, I will have links to book sessions or dive into 3 months of coaching, which really allows you to discover, integrate, and create a life that is intuitively led, which I love. And today I officially have decided to begin working on uh, a
Are
membership
you
that's going to come
talking
out
this
next
to
year.
me
Not.
too? Have you not told me this yet? What
I've
is
had
it?
it in my mind for a year. I will tell you offline. I need to put some more pen to paper before I officially
Oh,
announce
leaving
it.
it
But I
on
think
the side.
it'll be cool to share with people as I grow it. But you can find me on Instagram, and also to take my intuitive quiz, which has been super fun. I just officially had 100 people complete the quiz because we didn't want to count the 45 delinquents didn't complete it, which I respect because
Ooh.
ADHD. But
Yeah, I think we
um, yeah, I respect you guys. Don't worry about it. But if you want to figure out how you experience your intuition, I made a quiz for you because I love you. And then if you want to learn from how you do it to integrate into your life, one-on-one work, and then I'll send you to Nada to do an osteopath treatment to get your body right. But we will be back next week with a little take it or leave it. We will see you next Tuesday, and I hope you all have a magical time whenever you do listen to this.
I just want to say
Bye.
that on the next. Oh, did you buy it?